TV, 9:30 East Coast time. You're watching our bumper. As we run down the list, what do we have here? Are we recording? Yes, we are streaming. We have our guest waiting in our green room. We have our chat room waiting also. I think all systems are go. Let's start a countdown to Studio 21. Well, good evening and welcome back. This is pjnet.tv. I'm your host, Coach Prasick, and I have managed to put a book in front of me. I'm going to move out of the way for there. We're just going to do it that way rather than fix it on the fly. Good evening. It is such a pleasure to have. You just heard from Ben Cooper last night. Doug Carter. And now it's Del Didway who joins us from his home in the great state of Ohio. And he was actually with us here it seems like just a week ago, but it probably was 2 weeks. But Del, you left us, and as soon as you got off the air, you were off to a book signing that I've got to hear the details, because what a glorious idea for you and Michelle Medlock Adams to have a book signing. What do you call that place? The Hoosiers? There's a name for it, isn't it?
The Assembly Hall.
Assembly Hall. How'd it go? Did you sell any books? Or did you show
a couple
up?
of it. Yeah, it went really well. Of course, there was 14,000 people there at the game.
Oh yeah.
So so we were able to. It was a fun, unique experience. Michelle never done anything like that. I don't know of any other author that I know of has been able to do a book about a team during a game that there's going on. So it was, obviously we had a little connection with the publisher, with Indiana University Press, had a little pull with us and got us in Assembly Hall prior to the game, and that put us right outside where we were inside, but right out the door where everybody goes in to buy their souvenirs and their bookstore and their. Everybody goes in to buy their souvenirs, their sweatshirts, and all that stuff like that. So we had a prime location. People were flooding the place. So Michelle and I stayed through halftime and a little bit into the second half before we because I'd never seen a game there. And that's a legendary place. So I wanted to see some of the game too. So we went in with about 12 minutes to go in the game. We sauntered into because they gave us really nice seats as well. So it was a great evening. Angie and I went, and Michelle and her husband Jeff, and Michelle had a couple of her friends there who was a cheerleader at IU, and they were very gracious. We all went out to dinner afterwards. So great experience. That was a really unique place. I'd never been there, so it was a fascinatingly large place. It was on television. It doesn't look that big, but it holds 19,000 people. But there was about 15,000 because it was break. Students weren't there, so a lot of college kids weren't out on campus.
All right.
So it was a blowout game, but still it was a really unique setting for a book signing. So
now a lot of the times, Michelle, while you're doing these kind of things, she's out sort of whipping up people, driving them into the place where the book signing, where it's happening. But I don't guess she had to do that this time.
No, we had a big banner out there, and we'd promoted it quite heavily. So, it was kind of a lot of people knew her because she went there. So there was a lot of folks that she saw that she remembered and kind of reminiscing. But yeah, when we do book signings together, when we've gone to New York and some other places, our whole team will help the person who's signing. Like when Michelle was doing her signing, me and Kyle and Victoria and my wife and some others were out on the floor telling folks, hey, there's this book signing right down here. You need to go get this book, blah, blah, blah. We did it for Victoria and they did it for me. So yeah, you kind of help each other and kind of badger people into going over and getting a book. So, but no, everybody, that's expected. And that's part of the fun part of it too. So it helps support each other.
It is fun. Now, folks, little do you know, Del at any time could go poof and go away because you're having some internet issues
Yes, we
Because
are.
the
We had
house burnt down somewhere?
there was about a half a mile up from up our road. There was a house fire last night, and there was numerous fire trucks up there, and we've been having everybody's been having internet issues all day and all evening, so it's been in and out a lot. So but right now we don't have any TV. I know the house that burnt down. I mean, I don't know the house. I know the structure and where it's located, and it is about a half a mile from where we live. So right up our holler, as they call it here in Ohio. So
A hoot and holler. Is it cold up there?
yes, it is cold. It was.
Y'all been getting pummeled, haven't you? The whole.
Yeah, it's been. It was warm last week and bitterly cold this week. It's supposed to be cold again this weekend. We didn't get the snow that like Bethany Jet got. Bethany's husband was in that mess that was on 95, or was it 95 there in Virginia, where people were stranded for 18, 19 hours.
Yeah,
he was in
27. That. Yeah, I was seeing that, and the first question I asked myself is now, if all these people, suppose they had electric cars and you're stuck 27 hours, you realize that the heat in an electric car can't last very long. It can only last a couple of hours at the most.
I was watching one of the senators who was stuck in that. He was talking on Fox News about how he was stranded. Luckily, he had a full tank of gas in his car, but he said he was in there for 12 or 14 hours just sitting there. So Bethany Jet's husband was in that mess. So he did get home safely just a few hours ago, we were told. So
okay. Well, we're moving on. Well, Del, we've started a new year, and everybody has had thoughts on the new year. I think I remember it was last April or May. I think you kind of took a new year of your own, and so you had a chance to kind of hit the reset button. So maybe you don't need a new year introspection break, but have you given any thought to how this year, 2022, is going to be different than 2021?
It's going to be different. Yeah, that's a great question for a lot of folks right now. How's it going to be different? I hope I was watching just before we come on here a little bit of on the 5. I was watching part of that show, and they were talking about words that they no longer want to hear. Like I don't want nobody wants to hear the word new normal anymore. I don't want to hear those words either. So and they talked about a whole variety of words. So busy, focused, refocused, and prioritized is how my year is going to be. We're going to have fun. I'm going to stay within my limits, my boundaries, and do what I can do, and what I can't do, I'm not going to make happen anymore. So we're going to.
You're getting older, Dale.
Yeah, I know.
You're getting
so
wiser.
We've got some fun things planned. In fact, our year's shaping up to be really, really busy again, which is always good. We have a trip next month to North Carolina for a book signing, and the Christian Product Expo (CPE) is we'll be there for that show. That's always a fun one. Then we'll be in March. We'll be in Nashville for the NRB, National Religious Broadcasters Association's big convention. We'll be there for that with the in-game press. So we're looking forward to that. We've got playoffs coming up, so it's going to be a busy year.
Your team made the playoffs.
Yeah, they won the division. Yeah, which I think you're going to see them for a while, next few years, if there's no injuries. But they got a really exciting young team that's doing a lot of things. Obviously, winning the division, knocking off who's been on the mainstay for the last several years. Pittsburgh, Baltimore.
Well, Pittsburgh not only knocked off; they're at the bottom.
Yeah, and they're still in it. It would take like 19 different combinations for them to make playoffs, but probably won't make it. But the Bengals did win the AFC North, so we'll be in Cleveland this weekend for the game. It's a doesn't matter game, so we're still going to go up there, and I think they'll probably rest some players after the first half,
probably, and
then we'll be back in Cincinnati for the playoffs, and we'll see what happens after that. I know because you have your thing coming up. We were going to try to get there, but
actually we don't because we.
Oh, you don't? I'm sorry.
I just announced last night that we're going to. I hate to use the word cancel.
I know.
I think what we're going to do is
reevaluate.
Well, we're going to postpone it. with the idea of, instead of bringing everybody to where PJ Net is, we need to take PJ Net to where they are. Because there were so
Yeah.
many that wanted to come, but it's just a bridge too far. It's too much of a drive, and hotel rooms have doubled, Dell.
Yeah, oh, I know very well. I'm very much aware of that. So, yeah, flights are getting higher. Steaks are getting higher. Everything's higher. So,
I don't know what the price of steak is. I don't,
yeah, it's getting up there. But I still prefer the ones I make. So I can go to the store and buy. Now, I mean, normally would pay $8 or $9. Now we're paying $16, $17 for steaks.
a rack of ribs is now about $150.
Yeah. So
For mostly bone, by the way.
well, yeah, and I know your president was on the air the other day saying that he's not only going after everybody else, he's going after the big meat industry now. It's big meat's fault.
So, yeah, the poor the farmers are gouging us. Baloney.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's not go there.
Let's not go there. So,
yeah, let's not go there. But
yeah, everything's going up. But I think a great time to have your event you're planning is next fall in Tallahassee when Florida State book launches, because we're going to be coming down there for some tailgating. So that might be a great opportunity to do the show when we're down there. We're going to be down there, we know of, in October for the Florida Conference. So that might be a good time to maybe pop that thing up. We could do a tailgate at Florida State. We could do your event, and then I could pop over to Orlando and do the conference. There we go.
I have done many a tailgate, and some of the traditions have you. When you look into the research, we just talked about the Clydesdale, the Budweiser Clydesdales, and that is a tradition that has really worked out. But let me tell you something: the Renegade is a tradition at Florida State, and it was Bobby Bowden that brought that in. And he in an interview he talked about it. He said, "Listen," he said, "I just wanted to do something to get people interested in football, FSU football." It started out on a whim. He said he didn't give it any thought. He said to just do it. And it has turned into a spectacular, it gets you chill bumps when you see Renegade take the field with the team behind him. So many good college traditions. What's your favorite college tradition? The dot of the Ohio, maybe?
Yeah, the dot the I's is always great. I just read about, in fact, I'm about ready to finish up the Florida book, and then we're going to finish up the Florida State one. I haven't got into Florida State yet. I just finished up the Florida book, and because we're going to launch those at the same time as a rivalry. And I did some history on the gentleman who did the chant, 2 bits, 4 bits, 6 bits, $1, which was a big Florida Gators cheer that started. Yeah, just started accidentally to a gentleman, and I won't reveal too much because that's one of the chapters. A gentleman who did not go to Florida, he went to the Citadel, was an insurance salesman, lived in Tampa, and went to a Florida game. And that was back when Florida didn't have a really good team. And some of the fans were booing some of the Florida players, right, and the coaches. So he just got up and did this chant, 2-bit, or this cheer, 2 bits, 4 bits, 6 bits, $1. All you Gator fans stand up and holler, right? He does this, and so people like it, and then Florida does win the game. He came back the next week and did it again, and did it again, and did it again. And then, he would start going around to the sections in the stadium and doing it. And then he got this little, like a little whistle and sort of blowing and, getting people's attention. And it finally developed and grew and grew and grew to where the university recognized it, brought him in for pregame pep rallies, and it just kept growing. They would have him come on the field before the game, and it was every game then. And he had his own little costume he wore, and he finally retired, and they honored him at halftime, and put him in the Hall of Fame and things like in the Gators Athletics Hall of Fame there. So and this guy didn't intend to do that, but it happened. His legacy grew just out of being enthusiastic and faithful. So that was one of the traditions I learned about Florida, about the Florida Gators program. But Florida, about as far as Ohio State goes, yeah, dotting the I is a thrilling spectacle if you've ever seen it. Just really get everybody pumped up, and it's an honor, but it's right before, and it's something to watch. You've never seen Script Ohio. It's just an amazing undertaking that the band does, and it gets everybody fired up. And that's one of the big traditions in not just Ohio State football, but of all of college football, as far as the USC Trojan going out and claiming, putting the knife in the big sword in the field and things like that. There's all these great traditions of college football.
Odell, I envy you in so many ways. I saw your post on Facebook where you and your collaborator for the other book, Kentucky Passion, I believe.
Oh yeah, John. Yeah.
And I really miss that broadcast booth. I really do, Doug, Dale, because it's just there's something about sports, football in particular, but it really in truth all sports, and I think it has never been so much at the forefront of American culture, the role of the broadcaster, as with the passing of John Madden.
Oh yeah. Never got to meet John or be around John, but obviously he was an icon, and he was just himself, and that's what people loved about him. Again, I never met him, but that's all I heard. That he was just that's who you saw, and that's who it was. Most of the guys I've been around, most of them are pretty unique and genuine, but I've been around some folks who are just kind of phony. But that happens everywhere. So yeah, up in the booth is fun when we're up there on the Bengals game. There's about 6 or 7 of us that get to know each other really well. We chat throughout the game. We help each other out, and it's just always fun to be around.
Well, John Madden broke the mold. Okay,
yes.
Folks, in broadcasting typically, or football, that's what I know about. You basically got a pair of people, a tandem. You've got the play-by-play guy or person. Let's be right here. And then you've got the color person. Okay, so the play-by-play, that's just describing the events as they unfold. And of course, the color guy, he's going to start adding his commentary and opinion on things, whether it's that play or other things going on in the venue. And when you look at the broadcasters, not Madden, all the others, opinionated is, I'm not terribly interested in somebody. I mean, we all have opinions are like part of our anatomy. Everybody has one, and they stink. I mean, it just, but John Madden was different. John Madden had a technical knowledge of the game that's unequaled. Ben was talking about in the last segment, the details. John Madden would see the keys. You know what I'm talking about? The keys. You can find the keys. Once you find the keys, you can predict the play. And he would find them. But he had a way of explaining it without all the technical jargon. Okay?
Yeah.
And he made it simple. And he added a touch of humor that there's no one even close to John Madden is bringing laughter. I remember, and when they got the technology to do the grease pencil over the video, he
was crazy.
Oh gosh, he was showing this 6-legged turkey. He's drawing circles and X's and O's and
going boom and things like that. So yeah, he was. Yeah, I don't think he would fit the quote unquote broadcaster mold. He was one of the first real person who didn't go to school to do that. He was one of the first ones to get in the booth back in those days with Pat Summerall. And you had Dan Deerdorf and some others, but Madden brought the unique perspective, and he was just himself, and he was funny. He was fun.
Well, I think he was having fun. I think he was truly having fun. Yeah. And I never heard the question asked, which did you enjoy more, coaching or broadcasting? Because he was so good at both.
All these guys will tell you they won't say it on the air, or they won't say it in print or anything like that, but they all love the broadcast booth more. Yeah. But they go back to coaching because of two things: ego, and money.
Money.
But they all love sitting up and talking about it, getting picked. It is fun.
I
And
did not know
yeah.
that John Madden was one of the winningest coaches in professional football, even above Vince Lombardi. It wasn't even close, Dale.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and so he had a great dynasty back then. That's why the Raider fans are still so loyal. They're one of the top 5 fan bases in the NFL, which is really surprising to me, because when I'm doing these books, we're looking at the top 5 fan bases, which are New England, obviously. For now, I mean, New England is there. Green Bay is one. Dallas, Pittsburgh, and the Raiders.
Really?
Even when they were the last 20 years when they've stunk,
Yeah.
they still have the most loyal fan bases out there. So
Amazing.
yeah, now they're in Vegas. So he had a great win-loss ratio. Won Super Bowl, but that was a great dynasty years with Stabler and Biletnikoff and all those guys like that. So
Yeah.
and that's when football was football. You could play.
Fred Biletnikoff was from FSU.
Yeah. So yes, it was. I always enjoyed watching him. He always had a lot of Dallas Cowboy games. He and Pat Summerall on. Always fun to watch. He was one of the first with that telestrator that would just when he was done, it was just like a big yellow screen because he had marked up all over it. But it was fun. He was always fun, and the players respected him and talked to him a lot.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of it.
Yeah, Bum Phillips was one of my favorite as far as a colorful, person. He was kind of like John Madden in that way. But Bum was more reserved because at the end of football season, he literally went to his ranch. He was not available for interviews. Typically he wouldn't talk football outside of and his words were, I love the game of football, but right now football's over there. I'm over here. I love where I'm at, and he loved his farm. He loved his ranch. He was a true Texan.
So we're excited about going to the playoffs. I've never covered a Bengals playoff game, so I'm looking forward to that. And then we don't know what will happen after if they win. They'll either go to Kansas City, who they just beat, or I have to look at the brackets. So maybe Los Angeles Chargers. I don't think I'll go out to LA, but I'd go to Kansas City for that game.
I think you swore off LA, didn't you?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind going. I don't like Los Angeles. I think it's dirty. I've been there a few times, but I would go to SoFi Field because it looks like one of the incredible stadiums. That's where the Super Bowl is going to be played there this year. But if they have to play the Chargers out in Los Angeles, I would really highly think about making that trip because I'd love to see that place. And so we'll see what happens.
Well, I'd love to see the Chargers do something because when the San Diego Chargers just never had a team. They've never had a
No, they had Dan Fouts. They had and a few others, but they never really got over that hump. They had a lot of good players. The Fouts, Fouts is a good commentator. I've met Dan a few times, but great quarterback. But that's when they were in San Diego. Now they moved up to Los Angeles. Yeah, I'm not a big LA fan or Hollywood fan. It's just a dirty place, all around dirty. There's nothing nice about it.
Well, I truly envy you, Dale. I mean, every time when I see on Facebook you up in that broadcast booth, and it's not because of the chili cheese fry, whatever.
It's part of it.
That's not what I envy, but just the excitement and the you can't describe it, but it gets in your blood. And then I hear about you doing these Friday night football games, and it's like, gosh, I miss that. I miss that.
Yeah, I like that. That's a lot of fun. Going to the games, we get for the 1 o'clock game. I normally get down there about 10 o'clock, and everybody's there up in the media box and are having breakfast. I mean, that's a big room. You're looking at a couple hundred people up there, and you have your own little groups of friends you make. And sports writers are different than general news assignment writers. General news assignment writers will cut your throat to get the story, and they won't help you at all. But sports writers, they're pretty cool. They're not in it for that. A lot of them because somebody will miss something and they'll say who made the tackle, and they'll yell out 85. So everybody helps everybody up there, and that's a fun part of it. I mean, they want to get the story, yes, but there's just a difference because I've been in both worlds, and news will cut your throat to get it, but sports writers help each other out. They kind of hang out together, and made a lot of good friends up there. You know, 6 or 7 people I consider really, really good friends.
Dale, in doing high school football, when you're announcing it live on the air, one of the challenges that I had is the the names of the players on your own team,
Yeah.
but the visiting team has to bring you their depth chart and their roster and all that. Have you ever been scanning down that roster and encountered a name you couldn't pronounce?
Yeah, and fortunately, we've got to the place where if we see that, we're typically within earshot of the visiting coaches, and we'll say, "Hey, we'll go up. Hey, how do you say this kid's name?" And they'll come down and tell you. But we typically get the rosters and stuff 4 or 5 days prior. So
okay.
Yeah, we can glance over it and we can.
Yeah, I didn't.
Yeah, back in those days, you probably didn't. And we get the chance to spend a little bit of time. We get there early enough to say hi to both coaches, and if we have any questions, that's when we ask them, like, "How's this kid pronounce his name?" Blah blah blah. Okay, thanks. So we typically do that.
The other little thing, we never got that much. It was rare that we got a chance to meet with the other coaches, but I learned if I ever had the chance to get that roster and scan for names that weren't Smith and Jones,
right,
and ask the coach before the game, and then I would write it on there phonetically.
Yeah, we did the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the other thing that I noticed, and all high school teams do this, or at least when I was involved, is they would put the weight of the player, how much they would weigh, and they would always lie. They would always lie. If the guy was 220 pounds, they'd put him in there at 195.
Yeah. So they still do that. I mean, if in basketball, if the kid's 6'1", they'll say he's 6'6". So
well, football's the other way,
opposite.
Right? It's the opposite because they want to underrate. They want to make. I don't know. It's
and I've noticed over the years, coaches are a lot more willing to talk now to radio and newspaper. They kind of make a point of it now. In my day, if the coach lost, he wasn't going to talk to anybody.
I know,
and just get out of my face. Nowadays, it is different. It is different on both sides. You have your moments there, but most coaches, win or lose, will talk to us now.
Well, to me, the hardest interview to get is that one at halftime when they're headed to the locker. I feel sorry for those people.
They do that out of contractual obligations.
Yes,
that's TV money talking. They don't want to do that. No. After the game, it's okay.
I think it's a terrible idea for a coach.
It is, and that's where it started. Was the XFL a few years ago started that, and then the only good things that came out of the XFL was those moments with the coach at halftime and that camera that gets right behind the huddle. That was from the XFL. So now they've perfected it in the NFL now. But yeah, the coaches at halftime. You're telling me that Nick Saban wants to sit and chat before at halftime with a 22-year-old female reporter who really may not know anything about the game. So yeah, I don't like that. But that is 100% contractual.
That's money. Yeah. That is not a natural. That's not a
no.
You've actually taught classes on how to interview people.
Yeah.
And I think if you were teaching the class, you would probably teach them, don't bother a coach. That's not a good time.
It's not, but I guess if ESPN's paying the university X amount of dollars for TV rights, then they do what the buck says. And there are rules of those things. They say 2 questions. You'll notice there's never more than 2. And it's always there's never a strategy. It's just a comment.
And the coach is not going to elaborate because it's over in 30 seconds. I mean, it's that quick.
Yeah, and they're all standard. They're all standard.
Yeah.
We have to play better. We have to move the ball better.
Yeah,
they're all canned.
Yeah, it's pretty meaningless. Come to think of it,
fundamentals.
I've been to one of your classes on interviewing people.
Oh yeah.
That have some celebrity status. And what are some of the common? What are some of the high points? What are some of the common mistakes made by rookies in whether you're writing or broadcasting? What are some of the mistakes that people make?
The biggest one I see all the time, and it drives me crazy, and it's the combination. They interrupt and they don't shut up. The interviewer will ask a question, and they'll editorialize a lot in their question.
Right. Yeah.
And then when the player is answering or coach is answering, they're doing and they're interrupting all the time, and they can't hear. So my biggest Tom Rinaldi is probably the best I've seen over the years. There's a lot of people on television now. Watch this weekend. Some of these people, I don't know how they do it. They're terrible. They're flat out. They'll lead a question in, and they're asking a question that takes like a minute and a half to ask. Ask the question, shut your mouth, and go to the next question when the player's done answering, and stop editorializing.
Yeah, and don't ask them for their autograph.
No, never do that.
Don't tell them you're a big fan.
No. Now, Aaron Andrews is really good. I mean, Aaron Andrews does a quality job. But Tom Rinaldi will say, Coach, what color is the sky? And then you say, well, it's blue. What color is the shirt you're wearing? He doesn't go into, I think it is too. They don't care what you think.
Yeah.
Don't editorialize. Don't lead in. Ask the question. Shut up. Go to the next question. That's the biggest advice I have, because it drives me nuts. I watch Fox News. I like Fox News, but a lot of these folks interrupt.
It's a circus. It's a circus. It becomes a shouting match.
I just click it off.
I know.
And they have to lead in the question. Don't lead the person unless you're trying to get an answer specifically, and you can do that. But
General Schwarzkopf had a response for that. He says, "I'm not going to answer that question because it's really a comment."
Yeah. I liked Reagan when he went up the press conference at one time. He says, "I'm going to make a brief statement before I refuse to take your questions." And then, you just ask this one sentence question. What were you thinking when your player dropped the ball? All right. How did you respond to that? Just quick one sentence questions. And don't make any noises. Don't nod your head. Just listen to the answer. Go to the next question.
Yeah,
I would love if professionals would do that, but they don't.
You're the man. We'll do it. Well, Dale, hey, it's always good chatting with you. Happy New Year. And
Happy New Year to you.
We'll see you in a couple of weeks. By then, your internet held up. So I guess
I'm on a hotspot right now. So we made it through. And we'll be in Cincinnati or Cleveland this weekend. We're going to Cleveland. So that's a 4-hour drive. That'd be fun.
Sounds fun. Well, Dale, it's a pleasure to have you. Thanks for being part of the team.
One quick thing. If anybody wants to, anybody out there, I know I never really do these anymore, but I put together like a little launch team for my children's book. It's coming out in March. I know a couple of folks. Tammy's volunteered. Ben's volunteered. Anybody else wants to help? It does it.
Sports Shorts?
Sports Shorts comes out on March 22nd from Iron Stream Media. It's a children's book about sports. And I'm looking for a couple more to be on this little launch team. It doesn't mean a whole lot. It's not any work. Mm-hmm. But if you are, send me a little DM or something. We'll get you added. You get a free book out of it and just a little publicity.
Okay. Well, Dale, we appreciate you. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. And it's always a pleasure. Dale, Happy New Year. Looking forward to a big year. Thank you, everybody. All right. Bye-bye. Have a good one. Well, folks, there we have, you'll notice the view from the top. There's plenty of hair, as best I can tell. God has counted every single one of them. And that's going to kind of bring us to a close to our broadcast for this evening. It has been such a joy and such a pleasure. Thanks for all of you who join us in the pjnet.tv chat room. If you are watching this and you're not watching it there, well, you're really missing out on some fellowship and meeting some of the finest people that I've just been honored to be associated with, dedicated, loving. What a joy it is to do this night after night. Folks, we'll be back tomorrow night. I've actually got some work to do tonight. Let me just mention, I realize the time, but since you're here, last night Doug Carter and we were just kind of thinking out loud, and we talked about getting somebody to do the titles and description on our YouTube videos, which presently always say the same thing. Well, folks, we've already had 2 people, not 1, 2 people step up to let's give this a try. Who knows? Maybe if we put a description on the YouTube videos, people can discover it. Anyway, before I leave, on a serious note, 2 questions I challenge myself with, if not daily, certainly often. And they have really helped me. And I hope that they will help you, so I'll share them. What is the boldest thing that you've ever done for Jesus Christ? And second, when was that? We've talked about a lot of iconic and successful people tonight on the program with Dell. If you're going to make a difference, you're going to have some courage. So never allow yourself to be satisfied with your answers to either of those two questions.